sent this email to a PPCC and trading standards. Formal complaint regarding Oback pet cremations. Dear Sir, Madam, I wish to submit a formal complaint regarding Oback pet cremations and respectfully request that the Association of Private Pet Cemeteries and Crematoria, APPCC, carries out a full investigation into this company and its handling of my beloved dog, Shadow. Shadow was my 14-year, 9-month-old male chocolate Labrador. He was not simply a pet. He was my best friend and constant companion for almost 15 years. Following his death, I entrusted his body to Oback Pet Cremations, believing he would be treated with dignity, respect, and professionalism. Instead, I have been left devastated, distressed, and with no confidence that my beloved Shadow has been properly cared for. Approximately 1 week after Shadow died, I received a telephone call from Corinne at Oback Pet Cremations. She told me she was calling to let me know they had my dog and that she was safe. I immediately corrected her and explained that my dog was not female. Shadow was a male. Corinne then asked me what her name was, explaining that she had been collected by her husband. Again, I corrected her and explained that my dog's name was Shadow and that he was male. She then asked what breed she was. Once again, I explained that Shadow was a 14-year, 9-month-old male chocolate Labrador. Corinne then asked me how to spell Shadow's name. I found it deeply upsetting that someone responsible for caring for my beloved dog appeared not to know even the most basic information about him before telephoning me. It immediately caused me concern about the accuracy of Oback's records and procedures. During the same telephone call, Corinne told me that her husband had collected Shadow from my veterinary practice. She stated that he had been handed over in a black bin liner with no identifying information attached other than my name and telephone number. I found this statement extremely alarming. If this is an accurate account of how Shadow was transferred into Oback Pet Cremations care, it raises serious concerns regarding the identification, labeling, and chain of custody of deceased pets. If this statement was inaccurate, it raises separate concerns about the reliability of the information I was being given that Corinne had already repeatedly misidentified Shadow's sex and appeared unfamiliar with even his name and breed. This disclosure significantly increased my anxiety that the correct identification procedures may not have been followed. Corinne then asked whether I wanted a paw print. I replied that yes, I would like a paw print from Shadow. She also told me it would take approximately 1 month before I would receive Shadow's ashes. 5 weeks later, having heard nothing further, I contacted Oback Pet Cremations. Corinne then told me that Shadow had been delivered to my veterinary practice 2 weeks earlier. I immediately telephoned my veterinary practice. They confirmed that Shadow had not been delivered and that they did not have his ashes. I contacted Oback again. Corinne then told me she would personally deliver Shadow to the veterinary practice on Thursday the 2nd of July. On that date, I again contacted my veterinary practice. Once again, they confirmed that Shadow had not been delivered. Corinne then agreed that she would instead deliver Shadow's ashes directly to my home and that I would pay upon delivery. She specifically asked whether I had my bank card available. Shortly afterwards, however, I received 4 separate telephone calls from Corinne demanding that I pay before Shadow would be delivered. During each call, she became increasingly insistent that payment had to be made in advance. I explained repeatedly that we had already agreed payment would be made when Shadow was delivered to me. I also explained that I was not prepared to pay for something that I had not received until Shadow was physically returned to me. I had no way of knowing what I was being handed. It could have been an urn I had never requested. It could have been damaged, or it may not even have contained my beloved Shadow's ashes. Corinne then informed me that she would no longer deliver Shadow to my home and instead would deliver him to my veterinary practice. To demonstrate that payment was never the issue, I attended my bank and withdrew the full amount in cash so that upon delivery, Corinne could choose whether she wished to be paid by cash or card. During one of our conversations, Corinne also stated that other pet owners had refused to pay. I found this extremely concerning. It immediately raised questions in my mind as to why bereaved owners would refuse payment in order to receive their pet's ashes. That statement significantly undermined my confidence, and Oback Pet Cremations had increased my concerns about the company's practices. Despite everything I have been told, I still do not have Shadow's ashes. I have been told that Shadow was safe, that it would take approximately 1 month before his ashes were returned, that he had already been delivered to my veterinary practice, that he would be delivered on Thursday, the 2nd of July, that he would be delivered to my home, and then that he would no longer be delivered to my home. These statements cannot all be true. As matters stand today, I do not know where Shadow is. The repeated contradictory information, the apparent failures in record-keeping, the inaccurate statements regarding deliveries, the changing payment arrangements, and the fact that I still have not received my beloved dog's ashes have caused me immeasurable distress. I have now completely lost confidence that, if ashes are eventually returned to me, they would genuinely be Shadow's. I respectfully ask the APPCC to carry out a full investigation into Oback Pet Cremations, including but not limited to the chain of custody from the moment Shadow left my veterinary practice. What identification accompanied him when he was collected? Whether he was correctly identified and logged into Oback Pet Cremations care, their procedures for identifying and tracking pets entrusted to their care, their record-keeping and audit trail, their communication with bereaved owners, their delivery procedures, and the inaccurate information I was repeatedly given, their payment practices, and the change to the agreed payment arrangements. Whether they are complying with the standards expected of a PPCC members. I also ask that all records relating to Shadow are preserved, including collection records, identification records, chain of custody documentation, cremation records, delivery logs, and any internal communications relating to his care. While this complaint is investigated, no grieving owner should be left not knowing where their beloved companion is, or whether the ashes they may eventually receive genuinely belong to them. Shadow gave me almost 15 years of unconditional love, loyalty, and companionship. He deserved to be treated with dignity and respect after his death. Instead, I have been left heartbroken, not knowing where he is, and unable to trust the company entrusted with his final care. I respectfully request that the APPCC carries out a full investigation into this matter and provides me with a written response detailing its findings and any action it intends to take. Yours faithfully, Mrs. Ann McPherson, LBLM,